All right. So there was an ISC that arguably very anticipated. I'm going to just come out right now and say it. Mission stuff is not something I get very excited for because it regularly doesn't work. And I think all we need to see is the thumbnail. And as you can see, they're in the back room of an underground bunker, right? Here, let me move myself. Where's my cam? To this side, so you can see the whole thing, right? I have not seen any part of this ISC yet, so try not to spoil in chat or anything. Okay. And because I don't know anything, but when I see something like this, it's pretty simple that missions like this have struggled for years, and the excuse has always been the servers. So until the servers improve, a lot of whatever I'm seeing on the screen isn't really going to work. The other side of it that I actually am excited about is to hear about the replacement of the Ninetales lockdown thing. But any missions that involve bunkers and AI, and yeah, good luck. So here is Inside Star Citizen Mission to Make.
Missions in video games are more than just a way to tell a story or give a player things to do. They're also a way to drive players to explore areas they might otherwise miss, to encounter aspects of gameplay they might otherwise not attempt. And for developers, they're often a way to push the development of new features, or in the parlance of the mission feature team, new verbs for their systemic mission design system.
I was about to say, what features has a mission pushed? None come to my mind. Usually the features get made and then the mission team utilizes them, but yeah.
And one new mission or global event from MFT can lead to 10 others being created by designers on sandbox teams around the world. So on
do we even have 10 features?
Today's show, we're exploring 2 currently being developed, starting with Data Heist.
What game is he talking about? True.
So Data Heist is a brand new mission coming to the Star Citizen Persistent Universe. It will be one of the first missions from the organization of Bit Zero. Bit Zero are an organization of hackers. They're kind of rich kids that have kind of taken on the hobby.
Hacking gameplay?
Of hacking and trying to almost being Robin Hood. They want to do things, but again, they're a bunch of rich kids. They don't know, ripping off a merchant for such amount of money is even a big thing for that merchant.
So the player will take the mission, head to the location. In this case, we are using the UGFs.
Okay.
Once you're inside...
Not even the new UGFs. We're just using the old UGFs.
The facility, you'll have to gain access to the mainframe.
Okay.
Now you can do that in multiple ways. We have hacking still in the PU, where you can use a crypto key.
God, no fucking way.
And there's also other methods.
Okay. Hacking was on the roadmap 2 years ago. And it's not on the mission team to make hacking. Right? So I'm going to try to look at this in the best way possible and say, at least they're giving us something to do with this room at the underground bunkers, because it has sat and done nothing outside of the Clovis Darneely mission forever. Right? MFT is probably preparing for hacking or something. No, see, like the thing is what this tells me is that hacking's probably really far away. I kind of look at it as the opposite. If they were preparing for hacking, they wouldn't do this mission until it was done. Like if it was like a thing that was actively being worked on, I feel like that's just my guess. But yeah, okay.
that might be at the location that will help you access those mainframes, but I'll leave that for you to find.
Once you've hacked into there, you then have to allow
the haircut.
the hacker into the system. And then from that point on, he will do all of the heavy lifting with the uploading of the data from the servers. But what you have to do is maintain the safety of those servers so that their upload can actually follow through.
We will then start to give you a couple of enemies populating the area because they're responding to, your invasion of their property.
They'll come in and...
I mean, the AI people have said have been better, right? You guys have said that. I keep hearing that the AI have been better. I really haven't done too many bunkers in 320 outside of the PTU where they were pretty active.
You'll fight them. At the same time, there's going to be the owners of those servers. Although they're not on site, they actually have the ability to remote into their systems, and they're probably not very happy with the idea that you're trying to steal their data.
During the mission, you will find that some of these servers will start to overheat. Now that's because the people that own the location are deciding, we can't kick out this hacker from the location, but we can try and either halt you or, stop you from getting the data.
They turn off the cooling on these servers. And so when the cooling's turned off, they're basically...
So you press F to cool, it looks like.
Trying to melt down their servers, destroy the data. So they'd rather have a scenario where...
Hey, one really big positive to take away is it doesn't say visual conceptualization anywhere. So, like, this server breaking is like an actual thing that we can expect to be in the game. Wow. That's a first on ISC in the last 6 months.
They destroy their data, then let you have it.
You then have to look around the area, try and solve why they're overheating, and if you can try and stop that. That will be one of the big situations during this mission.
It basically just continues like that. You have a certain amount that you're supposed to have uploaded, and you need to defend them, and then you have to turn them back on, and it just continues like this until you either succeed or you fail.
Data heist is a mission for morally grey people. I wouldn't ever say that it was for the good or the bad. In its first implementation, you will be infiltrating security locations, security UGFs. So at this point in time, it is unlawful.
It's a defend a thing mission, but we're adding some more interesting lore and complexity to this mission, where it's not just defending something from taking damage. We're adding this extra layer of gameplay for a player. It's how they can be destroyed. It's adding extra layers. So it's not just a physical destruction, it's also this concept of the data on this server being destroyed. So we wanted to take these two things and have them in one.
My favorite thing about the mission is possibly the things that it could open doorways for. The fact that it's the first mission for the Bit Zero is super exciting for me. I'm a fan of other video games that...
Okay, yeah, it's the first one for Bit Zero. Now, from like a backer perspective, it's a hacking thing. So we would have hoped that like non-tier 0 hacking would have been expected. And yeah, the crypto key that they've been trying, the mission feature team in particular have been trying to kill for a really long time, are now something that they're utilizing. It's kind of funny, but variety is good, but variety with repetitive tasks is it's the thing the mission feature team just absolutely struggles with. Like, what a breath of fresh air something as simple as SPK was, because it had like a guard that was harder to kill, or even the initial, like the original SPK, which was the Hurston bunker, like one of the later missions, right? That you got the Hurston guard, same concept. And then what a really big breath of fresh air salvage missions were, right? And I think what we would have expected now, right now, like on an ISC like today, would have been mining missions. But I think they've communicated this publicly a few times. If they haven't, fuck it, who cares? They said they were waiting on like other teams, right? Like, so other teams are busy with other things, so the mining stuff wouldn't make it, right? Because like that would have been another breath of fresh air, something very different from the mission team. We know cargo missions are something that they're working on, right? So they're doing a lot. I wouldn't be super stressed out about like, oh my god, this is it, because it seems like a pretty cool mission. It's just like, damn, dude, at the same bunkers, no variety to them. Like the specific bunkers, I mean. So, yeah, I could see how people would be a little bit like bummed out, but in the end, I don't expect too much on the FPS side of any missions from mission feature team or the ship combat side until we can get some actual interesting interactions with NPCs, right? Like that's the biggest problem here. Like, you're not even walking down here and talking to an NPC. You can't, guys, we can't even talk to NPCs, right? The moment you could talk to an NPC, the variety, the lack of variety goes completely out of the window, right? Because fetch quests and kill quests are always going to make up a majority of the missions. But if you can ingrain some story into those missions, then the variety, it feels like you actually have variety, right?
Revolve hacking, and having an entire organization revolve around hacking is super exciting for me.
The mission feature team.
It's really, for me, I think actually another thing is, on a very similar note, is like, it's our first mission from Bit, I can't remember the name of the company already, but Bit something. But I have to like read all about them in a mission log. You know what I mean? It's not even something you're hearing about. Bit Zero, yeah, there you go. So it's like, yeah, you don't get that connection to them in that way, that you do with other games. And I know this is like Starfield versus Star Citizen. We're getting into that territory, but things like this are pretty simple, I think. We see them in far less complete games, far less complex games, where you walk up to a character and they are voice acted and they tell you a story about the area, and the people that you're fighting against or working with have unique clothing and armor and stories, and you get connected to those people. And we don't have any of that in this game, and I think that's not the mission features team's problem, but I think that's really, if I was going to put a thing on why we may not enjoy, or why I'm seeing so much negativity around this specific type of mission, is because it's just like a fetch and kill quest with a few more interesting steps, but the pieces that are missing aren't actually making those steps more interesting or adding more steps. It's adding life, and I don't think that's really this team's job. So if we ever do get life, to the NPCs, if we ever do get voice acted stories, if we ever do get true storylines, this team is massively set up to provide way more variety than I think we see in a lot of other multiplayer games, and maybe even some single player games a little bit. They have the opportunity to do really well. So to try to put a positive spin on something that's kind of like meh, they're setting themselves up for success if the rest of the company has success and wants to do, wants to take this game to where it probably needs to go. I'm just one person with one opinion, but I really think if I was going to put a finger on what the missions lack, it's that level of connection to the person you're working for, the group you're working for, and the people that you're working against or fighting against or whatever, right? They all feel the same right now. Nothing feels different, right?
Team's role isn't just to make new missions, it's also to make the tools that content teams will take on and give new life to.
One such way in Data
There you go.
Heist, for example, is a module that's focusing on randomization. They will target a random server in the room just to get you moving around the UGF so that it keeps you on your toes during the mission. But this can be utilized by other designers for powering anything to do with randomization as well. So instead of always seeing
that's cool.
the spawns from the spawn closets being at the same time, 5 minutes in or anything like that, you could be kept on your toes.
And with a mission like
interesting.
Data Heist, that gives us several new tools in the toolbox.
And in addition to the standard missions that populate
What's
the
his
verse,
name, Jeff?
the mission feature team is always examining and reevaluating the global events that run throughout the year. Do they perform the way we intend they should? Not just in frame
See, like, I actually think that guy flying across the screen is pretty funny, but they're gonna kill it because they're gonna do it over and over and over and over again.
rate, but
Until
also in
it's not funny
engagement,
anymore.
enjoyment, enchantment, entertainment. And if they're not, perhaps they need enhancement or extinguishment. And the new global event Blockade Runner hopes to be just a little bit of both.
Blockade Runner actually replaces Ninetales Lockdown. We analyzed Ninetales Lockdown,
I'm excited. Talk to me.
and we looked at participation in that global event. And we
Also, just want to point out, the last time this guy was on camera, he said the next dynamic mission was going to be a racing mission. And then that never happened.
also looked at what players did in it. So participation in Ninetales Lockdown wasn't actually that high. We realized there's no point maintaining this global event if no one plays it. you know?
True.
We looked back at the other ones that we had made, like Xenothreat, and looked at the gameplay in those that players do engage with and they enjoy. And that was the aspect of going on those wrecks in Xenothreat, picking up the crates and delivering them. They enjoy this experience, they enjoy working together as a team to do it. So we thought, what can we do with that and make a new event? Something that
Yeah, it would have to be something different because then you would just be playing Xeno, right?
players will instantly understand what the event's about. We came up with this idea of Blockade Runner.
Blockade Runner is a new global event that we've been working on.
Oh, a new guy. Cool. And he sounds American, but living in the UK.
This event,
Neat.
there's a criminal faction that sets a blockade around some of the space stations in the universe. This makes trade and travel between these stations problematic, and their goal in doing this is to prevent the trade of one specific material that is important for the refinement of spaceship fuel.
The idea is that a player will
Sorry, what is it?
And their goal in doing this is to prevent the trade of one specific material that is important for the refinement of spaceship fuel.
The idea is that a player will be called to help deliver a new commodity that is involved in the production of quantum fuel and deliver it from
Deliver Quantanium. Oh, shit.
our LEO stations, like Everest Harbour, to its refinery sister stations. And we have to deliver a certain amount of this within a certain narrow amount of time.
This material has a short half-life, so if it's not stored properly at a specific facility, then it will expire and become worthless, and you'll have to try again.
When you arrive at the LEO, there'll be like a blockade from criminals, and you will have to.
Why did they use a missile to represent Quantanium being unstable when we have a whole system that's been put in place that already shows unstable Quantanium on the mining ships?
Get through that blockade, land, buy this commodity as much as you can fit on your ship. Then you'll have to take off, and then you'll have to brave the blockade again, and then QT to one of the refineries. On the way, you may be interdicted by more of these criminals who don't want you to get away.
Target destroyed.
And then on the other side, no blockade, but you'll have to get through that. Then you will land, and then you will sell.
Raw Quantanium. It took the reason why I'm so quiet is because it took a mission to make selling raw Quantanium a thing. Because right now it's valued pretty high, but I think this will only be during the event. Just to be clear, refined Quantanium is 25K. Raw they have at 18.4. It's pretty good, right? So I don't think it's that much. I think it's like 12-ish raw. So I don't know. Yeah, so far it's interesting, but I see chat saying no PvP when this event was initially intended to be a PvP event that pit two sides against each other in ship combat. Because we had a jump town that was FPS combat, and a lot of this was ship to ship combat. I didn't hear any PvP involved in this.
So there's this delivery loop for players. Not every ship will be best suited for dealing with these guys without, some escorts. So the idea is that players will also take this mission and support those other players in combat ships.
Maybe you delegate one person with the big tanker ship and others to fend off any enemies along the way. At its core, Blockade Runner is a combination of the cargo transport and selling and space combat. One of the things I like most about Star Citizen is the space combat. I've never really been much of an FPS player, but I do like space combat, and one of the big elements of Blockade Runner is space combat. The stakes are higher, so if you screw up, you don't just simply regenerate. You regenerate and have to buy all your cargo again, so watch out for that.
Yeah, and it's not going to be cheap, obviously, because it's Quantanium. This is this is tough for me to be excited about. The last event we had on our servers made the experience really bad with Xeno. This feels very much like Xeno Threat. High AI use, which is going to cause a lot of problems for us. While the event seems fine, the original event was something that I think was needed, which again was ship versus ship PvP event, which I guess that's what fucking Jumptown turns into anyway. Are we not moving boxes then? I guess we're not moving boxes in the initial implementation of this, but as more features come online, we would be. And you'd probably be moving boxes from the Rex here as well. But man, this is completely different.
As the dev, I've been playing this entirely by myself up till now. We're going to be going through some playtests soon, so we'll be able to experience the mission properly, but thus far I've been playing it solo with a ship that can both fight and transport.
Oh, which looks like the MSR maybe that he was using, or no, maybe not if he's playing solo, but so you've only played it by yourself so far, and everything looks okay, but hopefully when we get it into a playtest that we see how much maybe how much the AI caused a problem. I don't know.
Cutlass Black. It's the best ship for everything.
True.
So, what did we learn this week? While we learned that missions like data heists don't just give players more ways to play, they also give mission designers more tools to play with. So like every other aspect of Star Citizen,
this isn't different. Don't you just have to buy all your equipment and take it to the station during the lockdown? Yeah, I mean, it's very similar, but instead of the AI not being the lockdown, it seems like the AI are the lockdown. Something new to do, won't complain. Yeah, it's just coming from the previous event. Like, what did that previous event mean, and what did it represent? This mission doesn't represent what that did. That's okay, I guess, because that mission fucking failed miserably. I think Jumptown ends up being a ship combat thing anyway. So it's not like that was super needed. But yeah, I don't have much to say. I think I just saw two extremely AI heavy focused and server performance heavy focused things. And how the fuck does anybody get excited about that right now?
global
Given
events
the
are
state of
continuously evaluated and refined and occasionally rebuilt and replaced when needed. And that blockade runner is just that, meant to replace the former Ninetales lockdown before the end of this year. Now, don't forget that there's just 3 weeks until CitizenCon 2953, the now 2-day event emanating from the Los Angeles Convention Center, where you'll get the biggest concentration of Star Citizen info, technology, features, visuals, and more, all beamed into your brains via Twitch. Or if you're there in person, by just following Mark Gibson around all day and asking about
I can't wait. I can't wait until we're through this and we can just get back to normal.
his Hercules voice. I can still hear it when I look at the C1. For Inside Star Citizen,
Just
I'm
focus on
Jared
the fucking
Huckabee.
game.
Thank you for letting us share the process of game development with you. And we'll see you all here next week.
All right. Again, I think all of that seems cool. I stand by my words of I think that they're setting themselves up for success if we're able to inject some life into this sandbox that we have, specifically NPC life. And same goes for the Ninetales lockdown or whatever it's called now. It all seems a bit weird right now, but yeah, we'll have to see. Oh, there's an outro clip. There hasn't been, so.
So far, yeah. Like I said, I'm a big fan of the space combat, so that element works pretty well for me. Buying and selling cargo is fine too. Cut that part.
That's funny. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Part of me wants to think that I'm just jaded and that nothing's fun anymore, but I don't think that's the case here. I think I'm thinking pretty logically. We have two extremely AI heavy focused missions, and we have a game that has proven really is struggling right now to handle that stuff. So we'll wait and see. But hopefully they listen to some feedback and internally first and with us and make it the best it can be. But I don't think it's going to be the best it could be until we have some AI that can fight, until we have a good server. I mean, can't you just help the NPC and pirate Quantanium haulers, which creates PvP content? Yes. But I think what the PvP peers are looking for is the ability to choose Team Red or choose Team Blue and have them go against each other. I think what CIG recognized is that it creates this unbalanced dynamic of Team Red might have too many people on them, Team Blue might have too many people on them, and then it's just never fun for anybody. So then they went with this, NPC related one, which is kind of like meh. But we'll have to see. Again, adding more variety is always good, but when that variety requires the AI to be good is always scary. Always scary.